The national numbers are, the international numbers are in. Oxfam has released a report. The 85 richest people on Earth have the same amount of wealth as the bottom 50% of all humans on the planet. The top 1% of the population owns 46% of the planet's wealth. That's pretty astounding. The bottom half of the population has 0.7% of the world's wealth. Now, that's worldwide. In the United States, just 13 Americans made more from their investments last year than the entire food stamp budget. That's $80 billion, enough for a year of food stamps for almost 50 million people. The richest 400 people took home $300 billion in 2013, approximately the entire social safety net for the United States. And this was just the income of the richest 400 Americans, equal to the 400 people. You could put them in a high school gymnasium, took income equal to that, the entire social safety net of the United States. That would be SNAP, women, infants, and children, WIC, child nutrition, earned income tax credit, supplemental security income, temporary TANF, temporary assistance for needy families, and housing support. And the richest 1,200 families are estimated to have each made $40 million in the past year. Now, these startling wealth inequalities we saw in the United States, we saw them rise in 1920, or 1921 rather, when the Republican Harding was elected on the platform of dropping the top tax rate. He dropped it from 91% to 25%. We saw an explosion of wealth among the very rich, which led to the great crash of 1929. And then we entered a fairly egalitarian period. The top income tax rate went back up to 91%. CEOs only earned 30 times what their workers did for the next 50 years, until Reagan came along and dropped that top tax rate down again. And we've seen over 32 years now this explosion in inequality. Why? Well, in part because rich people can buy politicians, and then those politicians do the bidding of the rich people. Is this really how we want our country run? Dr. Alex McFarland is with us, conservative speaker, writer, and advocate for Christian apologetics, director of the Center for Christian Worldviews and Apologetics at North Greenville University. Alex McFarland, McFarland.com is the website. Alex, welcome back to the program.
Hey, thanks, Tom. It's great to be back with you.
So, I understand that you think this is fine. Do I have that right?
Well, no. I mean, no human who's got a heart and a soul is fine when people are hungry and people have needs and those needs aren't being met. I mean, the question, though, is what is the best, most humanitarian and, I would say, godly way to meet those needs? In a new book that I just released last week, I talk about the fact that not all approaches to compassion are the same. In the opening remarks, you said that rich people can buy votes and can buy politicians, and I would say that liberal politicians can buy votes. The great disparity
by offering welfare programs.
Yeah, and offering things like cell phones and medical care.
Isn't that how democracy is supposed to work? That when the people want you to do something and you do it, they reelect you?
No, I mean, ostensibly...
Democracy is not supposed to work that way.
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin said this, that the best way of doing good to the poor is not making them easy in poverty, but by leading or driving them out of poverty.
Yeah, but Franklin never ran for public office.
But one of our founders, and definitely one of the strongest philosophical leaders at the Constitutional Convention.
Yeah, you'll find, I mean, if you read Franklin's biography, you'll find his positions on poverty were all over the map over about a 40, 50-year period of his adult life. When he went to England and he saw how their welfare system worked there, he was horrified. He came back here and he actually helped start one of the first. He was the one who lobbied George Washington to start the poorhouse in Washington, D.C. He started the first public library in Philadelphia. I mean, he was all over the map. But neither
Franklin nor any of the founders, I think, would be okay with what we've seen come out of the war on poverty and the Great Society of the last 50 years to create this entitlement.
Oh, I think Hamilton would be absolutely in favor of it. Well, actually, Hamilton might not. In any case, should we be? I mean, those founders also thought that slavery was fine. I mean, if you want to bind us to the standards of 1787, I think that we can make a strong argument against that.
They were already talking about how to get rid of slavery at that point, and so I don't think you can make a case for the founding fathers would having been in support of where we are with big government.
Okay, let's go.
Intruding farther and farther into the lives of people. I mean, what we have now is exactly.
It is not intruding into your life to give you a Social Security payment that you paid into.
Well, the philosophy now that's leading the approach to social justice, quote unquote, is really the redistribution of wealth and the assumption that the success of one comes at the necessary expense of another.
Well, and to a large extent, it is a zero-sum game. We've seen this now for 32 years with 32 years of Reaganomics. What we've seen is as the rich get wildly richer, working people have seen their salaries collapse, and the poor are getting poorer.
A rising tide lifts all boats.
Nonsense. A rising tide lifts all boats if you have a boat.
If you have a boat. And to be
a lot of people in America don't have a boat.
That's why you have benevolent organizations like the church. That's why you have great benevolent organizations like Samaritan's Purse and the Red Cross. The amount
of money that was spent in the United States last year feeding people by private charitable organizations, according to the Internal Revenue Service, was about $5 billion. The Republicans just cut $4 billion out of food stamps.
Well, let me say this: what our programs, the food stamp programs, and the programs of the last 50 years, they not only discount the vicissitudes of human nature, that anytime you've got free things and you've got the government as the babysitter, that people are going to get things for free, it becomes a disincentive to work. There's ample opportunity for abuse, which we've seen.
I think this is such a canard, this idea that for some reason poor people are sitting around, with their feet up eating bonbons, watching TV, and loving the fact that they're living in poverty. I just can't imagine that you've actually been out in the streets and worked with or seen or known people who are living in genuine poverty. That is, if you offered those folks a job, they would take it in a second. By and large,
and by God's grace, I have been in a lot of those situations. The two things that we need to point out is that the welfare state and the big government culture that we live in right now that gives people things with no accountability and no.
There's absolute accountability. You have to be a good citizen of this country.
Listen to this. But the idea, though, that things like health care and things like a cell phone and things like tuition to go to college are just due me by the government simply because I exist, that's absolutely counter to what our Constitution and our national DNA is all about.
I absolutely disagree. I think those are parts of the general welfare. And I think that they're also wise investments. Maybe not the cell phone, but that was Ronald Reagan's program to give, the elderly, a phone that they could dial 911 if they were so poor they couldn't afford a phone. But I know it's turned into somehow Obama's phones, but it was Reagan's program.
And that's what government always does. Government grows and grows, and it becomes this monster.
Healthcare and education are fundamental. Healthcare should be a right for all Americans. I'm astounded that a Christian would say we shouldn't be healing the sick in this country.
An ultimate moral code and an ultimate moral good.
Well,
and that's where
and apparently your moral code is don't heal the sick, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay, just don't do it with government money. Okay.
This is the Thom Hartmann Program.
Alex McFarland, alexmcfarland.com, the website. Thank you, Alex. We'll be back.